In February 2026, Meta and OpenAI competed for OpenClaw, an open source project built by a single Austrian developer, Peter Steinberger, starting from a Friday night hack. 0 employees, 0 revenue. Losses between $1,000 and $2,000 per month. About 60 days after the first commit, the two most powerful AI companies in the world wanted it. Steinberger chose OpenAI. It's not an anecdote, it's a structural sign. Peter Levels manages a portfolio of products that generates over $3 million in annual recurring revenue. 0 employees. Photo AI, his flagship product, has reached $32,000 per month in revenue with $13,000 in operating costs, an 87% margin. Midjourney reached $200 million in annual revenue, starting with just 11 employees in 2022. Today, it has just over 100, with revenue exceeding $500 million. Base 44, a vibe coding platform founded by a single entrepreneur with a micro team of 8 people, was acquired by Wix for $80 million 6 months after launch. Sam Altman and Dario Amodei have both publicly bet that the first billion-dollar company with a single employee will arrive in 2026. Amodei gave it a 70-80% chance. Mike Krieger, co-founder of Instagram, acquired for $1 billion in 2012 with 13 people, commented that today he could probably do it again with just his co-founder and Claude. The underlying numbers are real, according to Scalable. News. Startups founded by a single individual now account for 36.3% of all new businesses. Sequoia Capital has begun to modify its investment models to account for what it calls agency leverage, the ability of tiny teams to produce output disproportionate to their size. The important metric is no longer how many employees you have. It's revenue per employee. 2 parallel worlds. No intersection. So far, the narrative seems simple. AI agents make people more productive, companies leaner, and the future brighter. It's not that simple, because this narrative only works for a very specific type of organization. The cases I listed above, Levels, Steinberger, Midjourney, Base 44, have something in common that is systematically ignored in media coverage. They were born with the fundamental assumption of AI. They didn't adopt it. They didn't integrate an agent into existing processes. AI is the infrastructure on which these companies were built from day one. This is radically different from what happens in 99% of existing organizations. Let's look at the data from the other side of the fence. Gartner predicts that over 40% of agentic AI projects will be canceled by 2027. Celonis found that 85% of organizations want to become an agentic enterprise within 3 years, but 76% admit that their current processes are not ready. Deloitte reports that only 11% of organizations are actually using agentic AI in production. 42% are still developing a strategic roadmap. 35% have no formal strategy. These figures do not contradict those on lean startups. They describe an entirely different phenomenon. This is where almost everyone makes a mistake when talking about AI agents. They treat these two stories as if they were the same thing, but they are not. They are not. They are two distinct statistical populations with completely different dynamics. The AI native world individuals are micro teams that design the entire organization around AI from the outset. No legacy processes to integrate, no ERP systems to interface with, no change management involving hundreds of people. The architecture is AI. The world of adoption existing organizations are trying to integrate AI agents into processes, cultures, and infrastructures designed for a completely different operating model. In this case, the bottleneck is not technology. It is the organization. Data is scattered across systems that don't communicate with each other. Processes have never been documented. Corporate cultures are built on 20 years of "we've always done it this way." As we'll see shortly, if you don't distinguish between these two worlds, any analysis of AI agents becomes inconsistent. Why the AI native model works? The reason why a single individual today can generate revenues that 20 years ago required 50 people is not because AI is very intelligent. It is because it eliminates the category of cost that has historically dominated any organization: the coordination cost. Traditional startups burn through 70-80% of their capital on salaries. A lone founder with AI agents replaces headcount with subscriptions to tools that cost $200, $500 per month. When you eliminate payroll offices, management overhead coordination costs, the capital efficiency of a one-person operation becomes 10, 50 times higher than that of a traditional startup. But there is one point that is conveniently omitted from the enthusiastic narrative. It took Peter Levels 10 years to build an audience of 600,000 followers on Twitter. When he launched Photo AI, he generated $5,400 in the first week because that audience already existed. An identical product launched without distribution typically generates $500, $2,000 in the first month. Peter Steinberger is not just any developer. He founded and ran PSPDFKit for 13 years, selling it to Insight partners for over $100 million. OpenClaw was his 44th project. David Holds of Midjourney worked as a contract researcher for NASA Langley Research Center and the Max Planck Institute before co-founding LeapMotion. AI does not generate expertise. It merely amplifies existing expertise. Buying a pair of Adidas shoes won't make you messy. However, if you have deep expertise in a specific field and/or the ability to distribute your product, AI agents will exponentially increase your output. If you have neither, they will multiply 0. Why the enterprise model fails, and it's not AI's fault. Gartner's 40% failure rate doesn't tell a story of inadequate technology. It tells a story of inadequate organizations. The 5 main causes of failure are not technical. The Lang Chain survey of over 1,300 industry professionals clearly identifies them. Output quality, 32%. Latency, 20%. Security underestimated, implementation cost integration with fragmented legacy systems. The operational reality is this. An AI agent is only as effective as the context you give it. If your data is scattered across ERP, CRM, ITSM, and custom systems, if your processes are not documented, if your infrastructure does not support modern APIs, the agent has nothing it can reliably operate on. This is not a problem that can be solved by buying a better tool. It is a problem that can only be solved by rethinking how the organization works. Through 2026, analysts predict that up to 60% of AI projects will be abandoned due to a lack of AI-ready data, not because data does not exist, because the data exists in places the AI cannot reliably access, combine, or act on. The distinction between having data and having usable data is organizational, not quantitative. The European position, delay or structural opportunity. The OECD and Eurostat data are brutal. In the EU, only 17% of small businesses use AI, compared to 55% of large businesses. Among SMEs that use generative AI, only 29% use it for core activities. The rest use it for secondary activities. 94% of German Mittelstand companies have not yet implemented AI. In Ireland, 30% of SMEs cite fear of making mistakes. 27% cite lack of skills. 16% do not know where to start, but there is one point that almost no one is highlighting. European SMEs are not enterprises. Structurally, they are much closer to the solopreneur or micro-team model. A company with 5 to 20 people does not have data silos between departments, does not have change management for hundreds of people, does not have 30 years of legacy systems. It is small enough to adopt an AI native model, but it does not know it. It looks at data on enterprise failures and thinks they apply to it. They don't. Those statistics describe organizations with constraints that an SME with 10 people simply does not have. The real question in 2026 isn't, should I adopt AI? It's, which of the two games am I playing? The question you are not asking. Yet, the most interesting finding to emerge from this research is not a number, it is a concept. Tom Kasho, senior analyst at Gartner, sums it up as follows. When it comes to LLM-based AI agents, we can only reliably achieve reliable results by assigning them very simple decisions. We are nowhere near the point where we can give an agent a bunch of data and trust its decision. This coexists perfectly with the fact that Peter Levels generates $3 million a year on his own. There is no contradiction. Levels does not ask AI to make complex decisions. He uses it to perform specific tasks that are limited and high volume. He makes the strategic decisions himself. AI scales execution, not judgment. This is the distinction between those who generate real value from AI agents and those who burn through budgets on pilots that never make it into production. The question every European entrepreneur should be asking themselves today is not, which AI agent should I buy? It is this: would you be willing to change the way you work in response to this? If you can answer with intellectual honesty, you already have an advantage. On the other hand, if you're waiting for AI to become smart enough to solve everything on its own, you'll be waiting forever. Fabio Lauria. This article is part of a series of analyses on how AI is transforming the operational architecture of European businesses. For a more operational analysis, architecture costs, and implementation roadmap, I have compiled everything in the white paper: AI for European SMEs, the 2026 Playbook, Sources, Linus Belliunus, the first one-person unicorn in the race to own the AI agent layer, Substack, February 2062. Incan magazine, Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei predicts the first billion-dollar solopreneur by 2026, May 2253. NX Code, the one-person unicorn, how solo founders use AI to build billion-dollar companies in 2026, February 2064. Fast SaaS, how Peter Levels built a 3-year business with 0 employees, 2025. Core, AI agents in 2026. From Hype to Enterprise Reality, February 2066. Deloitte, The Agentic Reality Check, Preparing for a Silicon-Based Workforce, December 2257. Gartner, 40% of agentic AI projects expected to fail by 2027, 2258. Solanus, 2026 Process Optimization Report, February 2069. Langchain, State of AI Agent Engineering 2026, 2026-10. OECD, AI Adoption by Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises, December 2025-11. Alice Labs, Global AI Adoption Index 2026, February 2026-12. We Are Founders, the 30 Highest Valued Solo Startups of 2026, January 2026. Fabio Lauria, CEO and founder. Welcome to the Electe newsletter. This newsletter explores the fascinating world of artificial intelligence, explaining how it is transforming the way we live and work. We share engaging stories and surprising discoveries about AI, from the most creative applications to new emerging tools, right up to the impact these changes have on our daily lives. You don't need to be a tech expert. Through clear language and concrete examples, we transform complex concepts into compelling stories. Whether you're interested in the latest AI discoveries, the most surprising innovations, or simply want to stay up to date on technology trends, this newsletter will guide you through the wonders of artificial intelligence. It's like having a curious and passionate guide who takes you on a weekly journey to discover the most interesting and unexpected developments in the world of AI, told in an engaging and accessible way. Sign up now to access the complete newsletter archive. Join a community of curious minds and explorers of the future. Subscribe now